Warriors, hello and welcome. Today I am sharing one of my clients' most favorite and successful tools for free. No session needed. Learning about and using this tool has helped me and my clients break habits that were unhelpful for us. Habits like over drinking, overspending, over social mediaing, overeating. It has helped people lose upwards of 25 pounds and has helped others to save hundreds of dollars. I can't wait for you to learn about it, and I bring it to you today. So listen in.
Hi, this is the Love Your Life Show with Susie Pettit, Certified Life and Wellness Coach. Join Susie as she helps you with your wellness and mindset so you can live a life you love. Let's go, Warriors!
Hello, Warriors, and welcome to the Love Your Life Show. I am Susie Pettit, your Certified Life and Wellness Coach. I am so thrilled you clicked in today because I have an awesome tool for you. I try to bring an awesome episode to you each week, and we're on week, I think, 214 of the Love Your Life Show. Yay, us. And this week, I'm just super excited. I got off a call with a one-on-one client, and it's just another client who has reported great success with this tool that my life coaching school teaches, and I'm going to discuss this week. So let's dive in. What is that tool called? It's called the Urge Jar. Now, before you go off and click stop and Google how to get urge jars, slow down and listen to this podcast because I share some fundamental concepts and things that need to be known before using the urge jar to make it successful. And slowing down is what this is all about. Slowing down that urge that you feel to like, oh my God, urge jar, okay, hold on, we're slowing down. Feeling the urge to Google or place an urge jar order, if that's even a thing, or whatever your brain is telling you to do, and delaying and not doing it. Riding that urge, Warriors. I am confident you have all you need in your house to make an urge jar, okay? So what we're talking about today is listening in to learn how to develop this meta skill with our brain today. Okay, many have said that the main difference between those who are successful in their lives and those who aren't as successful or those who, experience more lifetime satisfaction is their ability to delay pleasure. Okay, in my language and what we're talking about today, it's their ability to feel an urge and ride it out, to not act on it. Okay, so let's dive in. I'll give you the goods. It helps me to get super simplistic about how this works, and this has to do with our brain, okay? And it helps me to get super simplistic about our brain and to think of our brain as having two parts, okay? One of my most downloaded episodes of this show is the part I did diving into this where I labeled the two parts of the brain, the adult brain and the child brain. I will link that in the show notes at smbwell.com/214, okay, for you to re-listen to or listen to for the first time. Because it is super helpful for me to remember that we do have these two parts of the brain. I probably am aware of them 400 times a day, okay? So we have these two parts of our brain. The primitive, oldest, and unfortunately strongest part of our brain, this primal part of our brain that I call the child brain, and the more evolved prefrontal cortex part of our brain that I call the adult brain. Okay, so much of our success in life comes from the ability to be aware of which part of our brain is piping up and driving our behavior at that time. When we are aware, we heighten our ability to consciously choose behavior that's in our best interest. We are essentially strengthening the muscle of using that more evolved adult part of our brain. Okay, this leads to feeling so much better about ourselves, feeling like we have our own back, that we support ourselves. We keep our word to ourselves, sort of this internal boundary, this friendship with ourselves, that I know that if I say I'll do it, I do it. Okay, and isn't this where so much of our frustration comes from? Okay, our adult brain has a thought of something that would be good for us in our highest self. Okay, something that would be helpful for us to do, say write an email, or not pick up our phone after dinner, or not hit snooze in the morning. And then our child brain comes in, and our child brain, our primal brain is like, nah, that's too hard. Okay, you want to pick up the phone, pick up the phone. Writing that email is too hard. You want to stay in your warm bed instead of getting up? Hit snooze, sure. Okay. Those are just thoughts that our brain is handing us. Those are thoughts our child brain is feeding us. And they're just unhelpful. Those thoughts your child brain is feeding you serve to give you the urge to do something that's not in your highest self or best interest. Okay, you used your adult brain to think of something that was good for your future self. And your child brain is like, no, eat the cookie, scroll on social media, hit snooze. My work here is to show you how allowing yourself to feel the urge without acting on it is the secret sauce, warriors. It is the secret to feeling so friggin' good about yourself while also achieving the goals you want to achieve in your life. Okay, say your alarm goes off and your child brain is like, pull your comforter over your head, Susie. This bed is so warm. Yeah, that's what my child brain talks like. I have the choice to give in to that urge and likely feel terrible about the choice later in the day. Or I can choose to notice the urge. I can notice the urge to not get out of bed. Okay, notice the thoughts my child brain is coming up with and act opposite the urge. It's all about allowing that urge to be there. To not think that just because you're feeling uncomfortable or just because your brain is telling you in the moment that this is a bad idea means it is or means you need to stop. This is what life satisfaction is built on. Okay, if you're a parent, okay, I'm sure you can witness this with your child. I'm sure you've witnessed it before. If you're not a parent, I'm sure you've witnessed it before with children. Okay, say they have a paper to write and they know if they sit and write for 30 minutes tonight, they're going to feel less stressed tomorrow. Okay, though what does their unformed brain do? Okay, it hands them lots of child brain thoughts, lots of tempting crap thoughts. Like, psst, I wonder if anyone's updated their Snapchat. Psst, I wonder if there's bread left in the fridge. Psst, I wonder if my favorite musician released their album yet. On and on and on. I just call those turd thoughts. Okay. And since their prefrontal cortex isn't fully formed, it doesn't fully form until age 25, they're much more prone to act on these urges, which is why I say so much of our job as a parent is to be their frontal lobe, to step in. Okay. That's a whole other podcast episode, but for today, I just want you to be sort of that witnesser where you can imagine the situation where you see a kid and you've heard the kid say, I want to write for 30 minutes tonight. And then there they are eating the bread, checking Snapchat, all at the same time. And you as a parent are like, no, don't get the bread. Don't pick up your phone. Sit down and write. Okay. We can see with them how it's in their best interest to ride the urge instead of acting on the urge, and how it might feel uncomfortable in the moment to not check to see if there's any bread left before your siblings eat it. Yet long-term satisfaction and this inner pride comes from resisting that short-term urge. I've done so many Instagram posts on this, and speaking of Instagram, and podcasts on this, life satisfaction. Choose your hard. Are you going to do the hard in the short term for the long-term ease, or the ease in the short term for the long-term hard? Okay, same thing with you. Here is a specific example for you, actually, for me. I've been working on not eating some of this delicious Australian chocolate after dinner before bed. I think it interferes with the deepness of my sleep. So, in the morning of the day, like today, I set the intention to not eat chocolate after dinner. Well, warriors, guess what? It is super helpful for me to expect my child brain to show up and deliver some nonsense tonight. I 100% expect my brain will deliver some thoughts into my head tonight after dinner that's like, ooh, remember that chocolate's there, Susie? Ooh, remember how good that chocolate tastes? Okay, both of these thoughts will create the feeling of desire for chocolate and an urge to eat that chocolate. My power lies in feeling the discomfort and riding that urge, in not acting on the urge. Okay, this is what super successful therapies like CBT and ACT, kind that I practice in my coaching, are based on. And it is the backbone of satisfying life. Okay, so I use the urge jar in practice to make this more concrete and frankly more fun. So let's dive in today. Let me give you the nuts and bolts of it. There are 3 components necessary to understand and implement to have the urge jar success that my clients and myself have experienced. So these 3 things go hand in hand. Okay, I go more in depth on these in the one-on-one sessions, and if you don't have a coach yet, I'd love to be yours. Check the show notes for the link to see if you can find time on my schedule. Okay, for today, let's go into a quick overview. Component number 1 is to know that the urge jar strengthens the muscle of our adult evolved brain. It strengthens it so it's easier for us to take actions that we want to do, not what our child brain or primal brain encourages us to do in the moment. Okay, so the urge jar helps strengthen and access our adult decision-making power brain. Second component is an urge is not an emergency. There is time. Just because we feel the urge doesn't mean we need to act on it. The more we can step into that observer of ourselves and our thoughts, into that adult brain, and remember, this isn't an emergency. The same way we can see our kids, we're like, don't pick up your phone. Okay, we don't need to think it's a necessity. Just because our brain fires up this turd thought doesn't mean we have to act in it. We don't need to be in a hurry. The feeling of hunger will not kill us. The urge to open a bottle of wine or eat that chocolate will not actually destroy us if we don't act on it. Okay? It's okay to just sit and feel it, even though it feels uncomfortable. Okay, the third component is that of being a kind watcher of yourself, not that mean disciplinarian that many of us were taught to be. What this means is if you do the steps I'm about to talk about and you end up eating or drinking or staying in bed anyhow, the kinder you are with yourself, the more success you're going to have. And yes, you just heard me right. The kinder you are with yourself after you've done the behavior you don't want to do, the more success you're going to have. Enough with this, damn you for eating that. Okay, I've gone into podcasts on this that I'll link in the show notes, and I will continue to speak of the importance of self-compassion. That's how we learn. We don't make lasting change from shame and guilt. Okay, so those are the 3 components. Now, what's the urge jar? How does it work, Susie? Come on. Okay, there are 4 steps to implement this, and I'll have a graphic in the show notes at smbworld.com/214 that you can screenshot and keep on your phone. Okay, step number 1, decide ahead of time, preferably the night before or the morning of. Okay, decide ahead of time what you're going to do in regards to this behavior you're trying to shift. So what you're going to eat or drink that day is something sometimes my clients do. Okay, or maybe the amount of TV you're going to watch or whatever the thing is. Okay, decide ahead of time. Bonus points if you write it down. Something magical happens when you put pen to paper. For me, when I write down, I will not eat chocolate after dinner, it's like I can't hide from myself anymore. Like I might have the thought in my head, but when I write that down, I'm like, oh God, yeah, that's right. Okay, so that's step 1. Decide ahead of time and write it down. Step 2 is to be human. I'm chuckling. But seriously, step 2 is to feel the urge to eat or drink or do whatever that behavior is that you don't want to do. Okay, so say you're trying to limit your time on Netflix, you just want to watch 1 episode. Well, you expect yourself to feel the urge to watch 2. Say you don't want wine, you expect yourself to have the urge to have a glass of wine. Say you don't want chocolate, I expect myself to have the urge to have chocolate. So step 1, decide ahead of time. Step 2, feel the urge. Okay, step 3 is you set a 10-minute timer and allow that urge to be there. I know it sounds miserable, doesn't it? Okay. It's going to feel urgent. It's going to feel big. It's going to feel physically uncomfortable. It's going to feel important. Your child brain is going to come up with all these thoughts that make it feel justified. Okay, you're just going to think, it's fine. It's not that big a deal. Just 1 bite. All of that. Let it be there. Okay, don't push it away. Don't distract from it. Don't resist it. Be an observer of your brain. This is what your child brain at its best. This is what it does so well. Okay, so just sit there and observe it. Like for me, I'm like, what do you got, brain? What are you coming up with? Oh, really? Dark chocolate's good for me? Okay. Okay, don't play some game with yourself like that urge won't be there just because you set an intention in the morning to not open that bottle of wine. Okay, think of entering a toy store with a toddler. You say to them ahead of time, okay, hey, we're not going to get anything for us today. We're buying a birthday gift for Louise, not for us. Okay, that's step 1. Step 2, your toddler does what toddlers do. They feel an urge. They want the toy. They want something. That's step 1 and 2. Step 3 is for you to let it be there. Okay? You don't act like there's some demon. You're like, oh my God, how dare you want something in the toy store? It's like, of course they want something in the toy store. That's what I want with you. This mindset of like, of course you have an urge to have wine or chocolate or watch more TV. Okay? You just let it be there. Like to our toddler, we might say, yeah, I get it, and no. Same with us in our brain. This is the child voice in our brain. I like to observe my brain like I might observe my child in the toy store with a curious sort of mindset. Like, I wonder what they're going to come up with. I wonder how creative they'll get. I wonder what kind of unhelpful thoughts they're going to fire my way. Chocolate's good, Susie. One piece won't hurt. Okay? In the same way you would expect your child to push back in the toy store, have the expectation your brain will push back. Let it, observe it, ride that urge. Know you can allow the urge to be there without needing to react from it. We can allow our kid to ask us for more things in the toy store. That doesn't mean we're getting them for them. Okay, step 4 is when the timer goes off and you haven't eaten the food or poured the wine or whatever it is, place the online shopping order. If the timer goes off and you haven't acted on that urge, you put something in your glass urge jar. Okay, it is very important that you actually get a glass jar, something that you can see through. Okay, I use a glass mason cup or a jar. It does not need to be fancy. And I put these blue marbles that I had around the house in it. Okay, look around your house and use whatever you have so you can get started with this like motivation you're feeling from the podcast. Okay, I have clients that use pennies or they ball up pieces of paper or freaking fuzz warriors. Everyone has fuzz. Find some fuzz and put it in your jar. Okay. Look out. If your child brain is listening and it's like, yeah, I have to run to the craft store first, Susie. No. Choose to get started today. The sooner you get started operating out of your adult brain, your prefrontal cortex, the greater life satisfaction you're going to have. When we want the cake and we don't have the cake and we allow our urge to be there unanswered, we are deconditioning ourselves and we're rewarding ourselves by putting that glass bead or that fuzz in the jar. Okay, it's important you actually put something in the glass container and create a visual. Okay, the glass jar is see-through on purpose. There's something in the brain that likes to have something to do and completion. Okay, and the goal for us is to fill that jar with those glass beads and all the allowed urges that we're going to allow. Okay, the way many of us have been instructed to change our behavior is to white knuckle change. Okay, what we used to do is we would go in the kitchen and our child brain would be like, I want chocolate. And we would say, no chocolate, bad chocolate, you can't have chocolate. And we would just be there like resisting it and we'd get no reward. Okay, so our brain is like, so we get the reward of chocolate or we just get deprivation and like mean language. Okay, the urge jar gives us a reward. It gives us an alternative. You might be thinking, okay, that sounds really dumb, Susie. I know it's a marble, not a glass of wine or a piece of chocolate. In the moment, I won't find that very rewarding. And I invite you to see that voice, the one putting excuses in your way to the future you want. That's the child brain right here, right now at work. It's like, why not give it a try? What do you have to lose? What's the harm in trying? Because, warrior, the evidence is real. This is what it's all about. As you stick with this process, that jar is going to start filling up. You're going to add more and more marbles or pennies or pieces of paper or fuzz, and your brain is going to love that. Your primal brain loves accumulation. It's like that kid brain. It's like, yay! Okay, do you remember as a kid we used to have those chore charts and we're like, oh, we got to put an X on. Like, it feels so good. And I don't even know what I'm talking about as a kid. I still do that. Like, cross off I'm like, yay me! Okay, this is what works. You've offered a contrast and a reward to that, just the one reward that's available, the eating of the chocolate or the pouring of the wine. Okay, so helpful. And in fact, when weight loss is concerned, I tell clients once they have 100 marbles in there, like once they've sat through and resisted 100 marbles, that's 25 pounds. Guaranteed. Usually happens before that, but that is the magic of this tool, because you are strengthening your brain. Each time you put a marble in that jar, you strengthen it. It's this compounding strength. Okay, it's amazing. I love it. Just helps us delay instant gratification. Another bonus of the urge jar is you might be using the urge jar to help you with chocolate, or to help you with codependency, or to help you with TV, and it strengthens your muscle with delayed gratification all around, so we can live lives we love. All right, I'll end it there, my dear warriors. That's it for this week. This is something we work on in our monthly membership. So if you're a woman over 40, get in there to get the support and companionship you need to reverse programming, strengthen this muscle, and live a life you love. Or if you have a specific thing and your brain is telling you this won't work for me, click on my schedule and get a session. Okay, in the meantime, I wish you a week full of lots of urges. You know why? That means you're going to have lots of muscle building, lots of urges, and riding out that short wave of discomfort for long-term life satisfaction and confidence in you. That's what I want, dear warrior. You've got this. You've got this. Big love to you.
Thank you for listening to the Love Your Life show. If you want to hear more from Susie and support the show, be sure to subscribe to this podcast on iTunes. Also, leave a review and share this podcast with friends and family. Go get 'em, warriors.